going to the fucking jewelry store.
Somebody broke it.
We're going to the jewelry.
Millions know him as World of T-shirts, but behind that brand name is Joshua Block, a guy whose story honestly feels like watching a car crash in slow motion.
I don't drink for more than a couple hours. The shakes.
You know how some people get famous and handle it pretty well? Yeah, that's not what happened here. Josh went from being this genuinely excited kid who seemed amazed by everything around him to someone who's basically battling his own worst impulses every single day. We're talking about someone who's developed serious narcissistic issues, an ego that's completely out of control, and personal problems that he clearly can't handle anymore. The crazy part is how fast this all went down. Josh didn't gradually change over years and years. This whole transformation from beloved creator to unpredictable wildcard happened in what feels like the blink of an eye. And the really messed up part is, even though Josh is pulling in more views and followers than ever before, he's actually in the most dangerous position he's ever been in. The biggest threat to his success isn't other creators or changing trends. It's himself. Look, we don't know everything about Josh's childhood, but what we do know explains a lot about where his head is at today. His mom died from cancer a few years back, which is devastating for anyone, but especially for a young guy who was already trying to figure out his place in the world. Then you add in the fact that his dad has been in and out of rehab facilities dealing with serious addiction issues, and suddenly you understand why Josh's family situation is so complicated.
School starts tomorrow. How to fight back.
Both parents basically became unavailable at the same time, which meant Josh ended up living primarily with his grandfather, who became the only stable adult figure in his life. It was actually in his grandfather's house where the whole World of T-shirts thing started. Josh was just a kid living in a quiet house with his grandpa when he first decided to turn on a camera and start making videos.
Ever thought t-shirt shopping was a major hassle? Not with World of T-shirts, it's not. Here are 3 most popular designs.
Nobody, not Josh, not his grandfather, probably not even Josh's earliest followers, could have predicted that those simple videos made in that peaceful setting would eventually grow into the massive online presence that Josh has today, or that success would come with such a heavy personal cost. The real story starts when Josh hit 18 years old. He was putting out all kinds of content on TikTok, candy reviews, dancing videos, just random stuff that was getting decent views but nothing crazy. Josh was consistent with his uploads, and people seemed to like what he was doing, but honestly, none of us could have predicted what was about to happen next. Because one random day, Josh decided to take a trip into the city, and during that trip, he filmed what would become the video that changed absolutely everything for him. Josh started singing Empire State of Mind, and when he got to that Alicia Keys part, something just clicked.
In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
The energy, the timing, the way he delivered those lines, it all came together perfectly. That single video would become his biggest hit and basically launch him into a completely different level of internet fame. Living in New York turned out to be the perfect setup for Josh's content creation. The city gave him endless material to work with, and he quickly figured out how to use that to his advantage. Sure, he was still making those dancing videos in his grandfather's kitchen, and honestly, those kitchen dancing videos might be some of the best content he's ever made. But now Josh had discovered this whole new world of street content. He started venturing out regularly. Through his eyes, he showed people what New York was really like. He gave his followers a genuine taste of city life that they couldn't get anywhere else. Once people saw that Empire State of Mind video, they wanted more of the same energy. Josh was smart enough to recognize what was working, so he kept making singing videos in different spots around the city.
Yeah, in New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
His TikTok following started growing like crazy, and millions of people who had never heard of him before were suddenly watching his content and hitting that follow button. The demand for more videos was intense, and Josh was more than happy to deliver. Josh became obsessed with feeding that audience. He wasn't just posting once or twice a day like most creators, he was putting out multiple TikToks every single day, and a lot of them were actually doing really well in terms of views and engagement.
Sugar do 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 do, honey honey, you are my candy girl.
He completely shifted his focus away from the candy reviews and random dancing videos that got him started, and went all in on this new style of content that centered around his experiences in the city. The guy was dedicated, you have to give him that. The more content Josh posted, the more recognizable he became around New York. People started stopping him when they saw him walking around, asking for pictures, wanting to chat, just excited to meet the guy they'd been watching on their phones. You could see Josh starting to enjoy that recognition, maybe a little too much.
What's up, bro?
Looking back now, those street interactions were probably the first real warning signs of what was coming. Josh was getting his first real taste of what it felt like to be recognized and celebrated by strangers, and you could tell he was starting to get addicted to that feeling. When Josh's follower count started climbing into the millions, something inside him began to shift in a really noticeable way. Josh started charging absolutely crazy amounts of money for fans who just wanted to film a quick TikTok with him or take a simple photo. And when fans couldn't afford what he was asking for, Josh would just tell them no, without any explanation or apology. He wasn't even trying to be polite about it anymore. The weird thing about Josh during this time was how he seemed to want it both ways. He loved all the benefits that came with being TikTok famous, the money, the recognition, the special treatment, but he absolutely hated dealing with the basic stuff that comes with being a public figure.
What's your type of in woman, bro?
Pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Josh would get genuinely annoyed when people recognized him on the street and wanted to say hello or get a picture.
Get away from me!
I'll Venmo you $40 for a picture.
Josh, please.
Okay.
It's me! It's me! It's me! Yo, chill! I'm joking!
Right around this time, Josh ended up meeting a guy named Michael Quinn, and this meeting would change everything about how Josh operated online.
Hey, we're at Ray's right here, drinking egg creams. A new wholesome image for World of T-Shirts 2024.
Yeah.
Support me, babe.
More egg creams, less drink.
You know it. Join me.
Michael Quinn became Josh's very first social media manager, and honestly, looking back, this might have been one of the worst things that could have happened to Josh's career and personal development. Michael is a man in his 40s who had spent years trying to make it as a content creator himself, but his own attempts at social media fame never really went anywhere. He was living in New York when Josh started blowing up, and instead of continuing to struggle with his own failed content career, Michael saw an opportunity and decided to reach out to Josh directly. From the moment they started working together, fans began questioning what exactly Michael Quinn was bringing to the table. People could see that Josh was making all the same types of videos he'd always made, but now there was this older guy hanging around who seemed to be benefiting financially from Josh's success without contributing much of anything meaningful. The relationship between Josh and Michael raised a lot of red flags for people who had been following Josh's journey from the beginning. Fans started wondering how much Michael was actually helping Josh versus how much he was just profiting off of Josh's existing popularity and talent.
And this scumbag's name is Michael Quinn, and he is a predator on World of T-Shirts and encouraging him to slowly himself. His drinking is so out of hand that there's an entire account dedicated to tracking the amount of drinks he has. And this fucker is putting up crazy numbers. His blood alcohol content is damn near fatal on a regular basis. The biggest question I got is what the hell does this dude Michael Quinn even do? He claims to be World of T-Shirts manager, but what do you manage? The only content World of T-Shirts posts is just him drinking in public, being a complete degenerate. It's not like you need to manage that. Like, what are you doing? That's not the content you need a manager for.
But if meeting Michael Quinn was the first major turning point in Josh's downward spiral, then turning 21 was definitely the second one. And honestly, it might have been even more destructive in the long run. There's a massive, undeniable difference between the Josh we saw before his 21st birthday and the Josh who emerged afterward, and that difference can be summed up in one word: alcohol. The moment Josh became legally allowed to drink, it was like a switch got flipped, and he never turned it back off. At first, Josh's drinking seemed pretty normal and social. He would go out to bars around New York with Michael Quinn, meet up with fans who were also out for the night, take some pictures, make some content, and generally just enjoy the nightlife that the city had to offer. It looked like typical young adult behavior, a 21-year-old exploring what it meant to be able to legally drink it and have fun in one of the best cities in the world for nightlife. But what started as occasional social drinking very quickly turned into something much more concerning and problematic.
I make more money than you!
I bet you do.
Why would you say that? Give me that f***ing phone!
The social drinking that happened a few nights a week became something that Josh was doing every single day. Whether he was making content, hanging out at home, or just going about his regular daily routine, alcohol became a constant presence in Josh's life.
What's up, babes? I just got off the phone with Josh. He sounds great. And actually, his tour is going on tonight, even with the snow. He says he has about 15 to 20 people, man. It's going to be wild.
During this whole thing, Josh and Michael Quinn launched what they branded as the World of T-Shirts New York Tour. Now, calling it a tour made it sound way fancier than what people were actually getting.
Let the tour begin!
Yeah!
Nobody can start the tour until you answer one question. Someone has to get it right. What does BANNED mean on Tinder?
Ban!
Let's begin.
Essentially, Josh was charging fans to follow him around to different bars throughout the city. It was a clever way to monetize his popularity, but it also meant Josh was now getting paid to drink, which definitely wasn't helping his relationship with alcohol. Plus, it strengthened his partnership with Quinn, who was clearly benefiting from every aspect of Josh's growing fame.
If you ever wanted to know what it was like to go on a World of T-Shirts tour, I personally have not been on, but a lot of people have, and this account pretty much sums it up. They started off at a candy store. It's $50 per person. $50 for this tour, by the way. They went to a bar, and around the corner, they got a glass of wine. Then they went to the subway and rode it for like 15 minutes. They then got off in Brooklyn, went to a bar, went in, got another glass of wine, and then Josh goes, "I'm going home. My Uber's here." Important detail here, he also puked in the first bar. $50! And if you've seen the cameos he's done, you know he's always doing 50% off cameos, you've seen those? Yeah, you can only imagine what his tour is like.
Paid hangout sessions attracted all sorts of people, and not everyone had good intentions. Since this was before the whole put the fries in the bag phenomenon took off, troublemakers had to get creative with how they messed with Josh. They tried different tactics to see what would get him riled up. Josh had started referring to himself as the captain during this period, mainly because he developed this habit of wearing a captain's hat everywhere he went.
Captain of New York.
In New York!
Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
Still got it.
That hat became his signature look. You'd see it in every video, during every tour, basically whenever he stepped outside. One day during a tour, someone discovered Josh's ultimate weakness. They snatched his captain's hat right off his head and ran. Josh's reaction was explosive.
Where's the hat? Where's the hat? The red guy in the red, in red. Where is it? Where? I was wearing it and someone stole it. Where? What's he? Oh God. Where's the fucking hat? Somebody stole it.
That single incident created a blueprint that people still follow today. Hat theft became the go-to method for getting an extreme reaction from Josh. Michael Quinn basically took control of organizing these tour events, and looking back, it's pretty clear he knew exactly what kind of chaos they would create for Josh. The thing is, Quinn didn't seem to care about the negative effects, because the more dramatic and unpredictable Josh became, the more successful these tours got from a business standpoint. People were paying to see Josh at his most unfiltered, and Quinn was more than happy to provide that experience, regardless of what it was doing to Josh mentally.
So get this, many of the drinks that Josh has been posting recently are actually mocktails. There's no alcohol in it. He agreed, it's a good idea, it's great to socialize, and I'm just glad I'm such a great role model for him.
He's encouraged me to cut back on my drinking. That's what it is.
So Josh heading home sober before midnight is a beautiful thing. We call it the Quinn effect. You're welcome.
Quinn had this way of presenting himself as someone who genuinely cared about Josh's well-being. He'd make these public statements about how he was going to help Josh cut back on drinking and get his life together. He'd position himself as this responsible adult figure who was looking out for Josh's best interests. But if you actually watched what Quinn was doing, instead of listening to what he was saying, his actions told a completely different story about his real priorities.
You're gonna quit drinking, right?
No.
No?
I'll moderate my drinking.
What about quit altogether? What you think you should, maybe? What do you think, Dan? You think you should quit drinking?
No, I don't think I should quit. I should cut down, though.
You should cut down.
Cut down, yes.
Yeah.
The reality was that Michael Quinn had his camera out during some of Josh's absolute lowest moments. When Josh was at his worst, drunk, saying inappropriate things, acting completely out of line, Quinn was right there documenting it all.
I'll never get to see Italy ever again. It was a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I'll never get to see Italy ever again.
You know.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime vacation for me. What did I ever do? What did I do to deserve this? What did I do?
Some of the most controversial and damaging content from this period in Josh's career was literally filmed by the same guy who claimed he was trying to help Josh improve his behavior. Quinn was capturing Josh saying absolutely horrible things and then helping to put that content online where millions of people could see it. But one particular incident from this era that really changed how a lot of people viewed Josh. It's become known as the fish incident, and it's probably one of the most disturbing things Josh has ever done on camera. Josh was out fishing with one of his fans, just having what seemed like a normal day by the water. During the trip, Josh managed to catch a bluegill, which should have been a fun moment to share with his follower, doing what any normal person would do, either releasing the fish back into the water or keeping it to eat later. Josh made a decision that nobody saw coming. He stepped on the fish for absolutely no reason at all. There was no explanation, no logical purpose behind what he did. He just decided to kill this fish and acted like it was a completely normal behavior. What's really disturbing about the whole thing isn't just what Josh did, but how he looked while he was doing it. Josh usually doesn't show a lot of emotion or expression in his videos, so when you see him genuinely excited or happy about something, you know he's feeling some pretty intense emotions about whatever's happening. During the fish incident, Josh looked genuinely pleased with what he was doing. He even made a very disturbing reference in another video.
You touch me and I'm gonna you just like I did to the fish.
Oh my god.
Now this fish incident could actually represent one of the worst things Josh has ever done, and it really marked a turning point in how people viewed him as a creator and as a person, because the comments were really something. Incidents like what happened with the fish completely changed how people saw Josh online. He wasn't the sweet kid making candy reviews and dancing in his grandfather's kitchen anymore. Now he was known as the guy who did disturbing stuff for no real reason, and that reputation stuck with him hard. Josh's image had shifted so dramatically that people started putting him in the same category as other controversial internet figures like Chris Chan and Daniel Larson.
Pour me something tall and strong, make it a hurricane before I go insane. It's only 12:30, but I don't care. It's 1700 somewhere.
A sneak peek of my new song, Something More. The moonlight in your eyes tells me it will be okay. When you're beside me, the world fades away.
Being grouped with creators known for their erratic and problematic behavior wasn't exactly the kind of fame Josh probably imagined when he started making TikToks. This new reputation led to some absolutely bizarre situations that nobody could have predicted. One of the strangest examples was when Josh actually ended up meeting Daniel Larson in person. Daniel had been manipulated by internet trolls into believing that Grace Vanderwall was staying somewhere in New York City, and they convinced him that if he traveled there, he'd have a chance to meet her. The trolls knew that getting Daniel to New York would probably result in him crossing paths with Josh, and they were right. Looking back, it's pretty obvious that a big part of why Daniel got manipulated into making this trip was specifically so that this meetup with Josh could happen. The trolls who convinced Daniel to come to New York knew it would create content, and they knew it would be embarrassing for Daniel, but they didn't care about the consequences for either person involved. They just wanted to see what would happen when two controversial internet personalities ended up in the same place at the same time.
My scores are 50. They are? Yep, yours are 40, I'm 50. Don't forget that $50 bill, guys.
When the meetup finally happened, Michael Quinn was right there with his camera rolling, making sure to capture every awkward second of the interaction. You could hear Quinn directing the whole thing like he was some kind of talk show host.
Daniel, say hello. This is Joshua Block.
see you shake hands. Shake hands, guys. Hi, Daniel. Good to see you, buddy. How you feeling? What's it like to meet Josh in person?
The whole situation was uncomfortable to watch because you could tell Daniel had no idea what was really going on, or why this meetup was being filmed. He seemed genuinely confused about the whole situation, but he tried to go along with it anyway. At one point, Daniel started singing parts of that New York song that Josh had made famous, but it came across as awkward and forced rather than natural or fun. The entire interaction felt exploitative from start to finish. Here were two people who were both dealing with their own issues and reputations online, being pushed together for the entertainment of people who didn't care about either of their well-being. Michael Quinn filming the whole thing just made it feel even more calculated and gross, like he was treating both Josh and Daniel as content to be consumed rather than actual human beings. By this point, Josh had been making content for barely 2 years, but the person on screen was unrecognizable from who he used to be. The fame mixed with constant drinking created this toxic combination that started eating away at whatever stability Josh had left. This is when we first started seeing those explosive meltdowns that Josh is famous for now. Back then, they weren't happening every day like they do today, and honestly, it looks like plenty of his worst moments never made it to camera during this period.
I beat up on you. Hey, you stop it right there.
The Josh who used to light up singing Empire State of Mind was gone, replaced by someone who could snap at any moment. When people started recording his breakdowns, the clips spread like wildfire, and because nobody had seen anything quite like it. Once people realized how easily they could set Josh off, it became the sick game for trolls and content seekers. His outburst videos were getting millions of views, making them some of his most successful content ever. Josh was becoming more famous than he'd ever been, but for all the wrong reasons. Walking around New York became impossible for him because everyone knew his face and plenty of them wanted to see if they could make him lose it in person.
What a t-shirt! What a t-shirt! Put the fries in the bag! What a t-shirt!
The meltdowns kept escalating. And these weren't just bad moments anymore, they were becoming Josh's brand. People expected chaos when they saw World of T-Shirts content, and Josh was delivering exactly what they wanted, even if it was destroying him in the process. Josh's constant run-ins with trolls started making him really resentful toward America as a whole, rather than looking at his own actions and wondering why these situations kept happening. Josh decided that the real problem was just American people being terrible. He genuinely believed that all his troubles were because of where he lived, not because his controversial behavior had made him famous around the world. This kind of thinking showed how disconnected Josh was becoming from reality.
Somebody get me out of this country! I want to go back to Italy! Why did I go home? I want to go to Italy!
What a lot of people don't know about Josh is that he absolutely loves going to different countries. The guy has visited more places than most people ever will, and he developed this weird belief that international travel was his escape route from all the drama. Josh thought that if he could just get out of the United States, he'd be able to go places where nobody knew who he was, and he could finally have some peace. Obviously, Josh didn't understand how the internet works because his reputation had already spread way beyond American borders. The Iceland situation became one of the most talked about moments in Josh's entire career. He probably imagined Iceland as this quiet, remote place where he could wander around without anyone bothering him. Instead, Josh found himself surrounded by a bunch of young guys who knew exactly who World of T-Shirts was. These weren't random locals who happened to bump into him. These were people who had specifically sought him out because they knew his content.
I know.
Just like always, someone went straight for Josh's hat while he was broadcasting live, even thousands of miles away from New York. Josh was dealing with the exact same problems that had been plaguing him at home. The Las Vegas incident was somehow even more pathetic than what happened in Iceland. Josh had been walking around Vegas wearing the same disgusting shirt for over 5 days straight, which caught the attention of another content creator named Douglas Skates. Douglas wasn't trying to create drama or mess with Josh. He literally just wanted to give him a clean shirt, because the situation was getting genuinely gross to watch. Josh's response to someone trying to do something nice for him was to completely lose his mind and start running around the city. Josh was so paranoid and messed up that he couldn't tell the difference between someone trying to help him and someone trying to hurt him. These travel experiences proved that Josh's problems weren't about geography or American culture like he kept telling himself. No matter where Josh went, his reputation followed him, and his inability to handle normal human interactions was getting worse, not better. Josh's alcohol problem had reached a point where it was impossible to ignore. Anyone who saw him when he wasn't drinking could tell something was seriously wrong. The the constant harassment from trolls and fake fans had pushed his paranoia through the roof. Instead of getting help, Josh was developing this massive ego that made everything worse. You could see it in how reckless he was becoming with his decisions. Early in 2024, Josh did something so stupid it's honestly shocking he didn't get seriously hurt. He got arrested for subway surfing, which is when people climb on top of moving subway trains. Not only was Josh dumb enough to try this incredibly dangerous stunt, but he was also drunk while doing it, making an already life-threatening decision even more insane.
Let him go. Let that man go. Oh, they got him. They got him.
Somehow Josh managed to walk away with just a warning instead of serious charges. And, surprisingly, it seems like the experience actually scared him enough to stop doing it. Maybe getting arrested while drunk on top of a subway car was finally enough to make him realize how close he came to dying. The arrest didn't hurt Josh's career, though. If anything, it made him more famous. Josh was experiencing success at a level he'd never reached before. His tours were selling out bigger venues, and his social media following was exploding across multiple platforms. Just a year earlier, Josh was still pretty niche, mainly known by his core fan base and people deep into TikTok culture. But after all the public breakdowns and crazy incidents, Josh had broken into mainstream internet fame where even casual social media users knew who he was. Josh's rising fame started attracting some really sketchy people who wanted to use his popularity to boost their own careers. The most dangerous of these was Jason Itzler, who calls himself Mr. Based.
Put the fries in the bag, Josh Block, you little bitch! Put the fries in the bag! Ha!
Based was part of this toxic streaming community called IP2, where people make content by walking around with cameras and creating or documenting whatever drama they can find. When Based noticed how much attention Josh was getting online, he immediately saw an opportunity to ride Josh's coattails to his own success.
9 countries!
Since they were both in New York, it wasn't difficult for Based to hunt down Josh during one of his public tours. When Based finally approached Josh, he started streaming the whole interaction, and it was clear from the beginning that this wasn't going to end well. Based was being aggressive and pushy while Josh was obviously trying to get away from him.
Hey, for the studio! What do you think? How am I gonna record it? Hey, good night! You're doing a TikTok! Wait for them to stop donating! Never donate!
What really stood out during this incident was seeing the weird hierarchy that had formed around Josh. At the top you had his managers pulling all the strings. Then there were these random people from his tours who had somehow appointed themselves as Josh's protection squad, like that guy in the hat who kept telling Based to leave. And then at the bottom, you had everyone else just desperately trying to get close to Josh however they could. The desperation was genuinely uncomfortable to witness, but it showed how far people were willing to humiliate themselves for a chance at internet fame. The most disturbing part about this whole situation is that despite this terrible first meeting, Based somehow managed to worm his way into Josh's life. These two started streaming together on a regular basis, and then Bass gradually began taking over management duties that Michael Quinn used to handle. Anyone who knows about Jason Eager's past and the kind of person he really is should be genuinely concerned about him having any kind of influence over someone as mentally unstable as Josh has become.
Everybody, this is Mr. Based and Josh Block. We're at the doctor right now at MedMD. Mayor Flanagan is paying for it. We can't thank him enough. You want to thank him?
Thanks so much, Flanagan.
Flanagan, you're the man. Everyone loves you. You were the mayor, and now you're just a beautiful person.
We're not going to spend forever on this, but you need to understand who Jason Eager really is before we talk about his influence on Josh. Going back decades, Jason was actually working as a street hustler in New York City. That's how he was making his money at the time, but believe it or not, that wasn't even the darkest part of his story.
Disgusting. I don't know if you guys know or not, but jail is so much worse than prison. Prison is much nicer and
So
more...
that's the upgrade, going to prison.
Yeah, but you're in prison for years, though. So.
What really makes Jason hated both online and in real life has to do with what happened to a young woman named Julia Suni back in 2010. According to the story, Julia met Jason's roommate Zolan at a nightclub in March 2010. She ended up going back to the apartment that Zolan shared with Jason, and sometime during that night, Julia died. Both Jason and Zolan ended up in court over what happened, but somehow Jason managed to avoid any real consequences, while his roommate didn't. The really disturbing part is that Jason actually admitted to taking the same substance that was found in Julia's system when she passed away. Despite this horrific background, Jason somehow convinced Josh to start working with him more closely. After spending months trying to get Josh to collaborate, Jason finally wore him down. Josh started going back to Jason's apartment where they would do live streams together, giving everyone a preview of the absolute chaos that was about to become Josh's new normal.
So let him
stream this stuff again.
Josh and Jason weren't just streaming from the apartment, though. They actually tried to break into the music industry for a while, similar to what Daniel Larson was attempting around the same time. They'd rent out recording studios and try to make songs, but nothing they produced was any good. The only memorable thing about their music phase was how they would completely trash the studios they rented, and Josh would have massive freakouts during recording sessions.
Bring the booze! That's what we do! We bring the booze! We bring the booze to you!
But Jason's real genius was figuring out that Josh was perfect for live streaming on the streets. Jason recognized that Josh's terrible reactions to text-to-speech donations and his complete inability to filter himself made him a content goldmine. Josh would sometimes push back against the more extreme stuff, but that was nothing compared to what was coming next, because this is when the put the fries in the bag era began.
You put the fries in the bag!
We call it bitch.
Where's fries?
That's not nice.
You can't say that to me. I make $120K a year.
Put the fries in the bag became the most famous phrase in World of T-Shirts history, and it started with Josh being a jerk to some random fast food employee. What Josh didn't realize was that by insulting this worker, he was creating a weapon that people would use against him for years. When people say, put the fries in the bag to someone, they're basically calling them a failure who should be working minimum wage jobs. So when trolls started saying it to Josh, he took it as the ultimate insult.
Just put the fries in the bag, Josh.
During his worst meltdowns, Josh would scream about how he's a sole proprietor, while also admitting he only makes around $60,000 a year, which he somehow sees as terrible money. The whole thing is hypocritical because Josh created this insult by using it on an innocent fast food worker, but now he acts like people saying it to him is the worst thing in the world. He's literally compared it to a slur, which is insane given how this all started.
Put the fries in the bag, John! Put the fries!
At first, people would only say it occasionally, more as a joke than anything serious. But Josh's reactions were always explosive. Josh genuinely believes that anyone who says this phrase to him deserves to get physically attacked. It doesn't matter if it's a man, woman, or even an inanimate object. Josh will go after whatever he thinks is responsible. Most of Josh's attacks are pretty pathetic, though. I honestly think he's mainly trying to scare people rather than actually hurt them. As more and more people started using the phrase, Josh's reactions got increasingly unhinged and violent. One streamer took it to an absolutely insane level when he found Josh at some small restaurant, and this guy said, "Put the fries in the bag," so many times in a row that Josh looked like he was having a complete mental breakdown. The reaction was so intense it looked like Josh was being possessed by demons or something. After getting hit with the phrase dozens of times, Josh completely lost it. "I hate this stupid country. I want to go home. I want to go to Italy. Call the cops." I still don't understand why this particular insult affects him so deeply. Josh travels all over the world, lives however he wants, and doesn't answer to anyone. But he's so obsessed with money and status that none of his actual advantages matter to him anymore. Josh was making enough money to take multiple international vacations, and his first major trip was to Germany. He probably thought he'd be able to enjoy the beer and castles without dealing with trolls. But Josh still hadn't learned that the internet doesn't respect borders. Put the fries in the bag had become a global phenomenon. Even in Germany, people knew exactly how to set Josh off. Josh was dealing with the exact same harassment thousands of miles away from New York. Josh constantly talks about how much he hates the United States and how he wants to move to Europe permanently. But his international trips prove that geography isn't his problem. His reputation and behavior follow him everywhere he goes. His trip to Los Angeles was just as chaotic as Germany, with people tracking him down and saying the same things that drive him crazy in New York. Back home, Josh was having public meltdowns almost daily, and a lot of them weren't even being filmed. People living in New York would literally hear Josh screaming in the streets from their apartments. Luckily, some of them had the sense to record these moments.
I make $5 grand a month! I make $80K a month, okay?
The fact that Josh was contradicting his own salary claims while having a breakdown just showed how disconnected from reality he'd become. Nothing was ever going to be enough for him, no matter how much money he made or how famous he got.
Hello?
Hey, you! I make $100K a year!
Hang up.
I make $100K a year!
The combination of Jason's streams and Josh's public meltdowns had launched him to a level of fame he'd never experienced before. They were pulling in thousands of viewers on YouTube, and even though Jason was definitely using view bots to inflate the numbers, there were still plenty of real people watching. Josh's growing popularity started attracting bigger social media creators who wanted to collaborate with him, including appearances on dating shows and podcasts. One of these collaborations got particularly uncomfortable when Josh appeared on a dating show and got confronted about his history of using racial slurs.
You did that?
No, I didn't say the N-word. I just stomped on the top of a car.
But you also kicked a lady and said the N-word to a black guy.
No, I didn't say the N-word.
Josh's drinking problem had moved way beyond just liking to party. The physical symptoms were becoming impossible to hide. Josh would shake uncontrollably whenever he wasn't completely drunk, which is a clear sign of alcohol dependency. His body literally couldn't function normally without constant booze in his system. The combination of physical addiction and the mental stress from constant put-the-fries-in-the-bag harassment was destroying whatever stability Josh had left.
My hands are shaking, I'm nauseous all day. Every time, if I don't drink for more than a couple hours, the shakes come back. I don't know why. I haven't been hungry in a year. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't sleep, I can't eat, nauseous. I don't know what's wrong with me.
His tours were still basically just organized drinking sessions, but now they attracted way more trolls who specifically came to mess with him. The crowds were getting bigger and more hostile, turning what used to be casual bar visits into chaotic scenes. The situation was spiraling completely out of control. Trolls had figured out where Jason's apartment was, and would show up outside the building, yelling things through the windows during live streams. Sometimes Josh would want to call the police, but other times his anger would override his fear and he'd run outside to confront whoever was bothering him.
I need police, I'm scared. There's guys climbing the windows in our house.
What's really suspicious is how much money Josh was actually seeing from all this. Josh claimed he was making over $100,000 a year, but I seriously doubt most of those donations were reaching him. Jason had complete control over all the streaming accounts and donation systems. Whenever someone tried to help Josh set up independent streaming on his own phone, one of Jason's associates would immediately delete it. As Josh got more famous, his breakdowns became more frequent and more intense. Some of his worst moments came from text-to-speech donations that would send him running through the streets screaming. Josh's paranoia during these episodes was getting worse. He'd be running around the city convinced people were after him.
We're going to the f***ing jewelry store!
Somebody broke it.
We're going to the jewelry store. I'm calling us an Uber. We're going there now.
Can we do like a temporary fix for now?
No! I don't want to wait that long!
Ironically, these meltdowns only made Josh more famous. His breakdowns were being shared across every social media platform, and chances are good that you know someone who's seen at least one clip of Josh losing his mind. World of T-Shirts had reached peak popularity, but that fame came with the cost of Josh never being able to have a normal moment in public again. Josh couldn't even go to a bar and drink in peace anymore. Every time he went somewhere, people would recognize him and either want pictures or start trolling him. The fame that Josh thought he wanted had turned his life into a constant nightmare.
Oh my God.
Josh still refuses to accept that his problems follow him everywhere he goes. He's convinced that America is the source of all his troubles, so whenever he plans a trip to another country, he gets genuinely excited thinking he'll finally escape the chaos. But like clockwork, every international trip ends in disaster, because his reputation has spread globally.
They catch you lying, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, you get screwed.
But like Canada, as soon as you cross the border, it does a full background check. It does, because the US and Canada share the same systems. People with a DUI in Canada can't come to the US.
Really? Like completely banned?
Yeah. People with DUIs in the US can't go to Canada, and people on the other side can't come to the US. They share the same system.
Josh claims he wants to relocate to Europe permanently, specifically Italy, because he thinks Europeans are somehow more civilized than Americans. He genuinely believes that changing his location will solve problems that are actually caused by his own behavior and reputation. Josh doesn't understand that it's not about geography, but about who he's become as a person. His Ireland trip proved this point perfectly. If anything, Josh might be even more recognizable there than in Germany.
Yes, that wasn't me. How did you even get on this bus?
What are you talking about, dude? I just moved on.
Put the fries in the bag. You okay or something?
In New York, Josh's tours have completely lost their original purpose. Now people are basically paying money just to get close enough to yell, "Put the fries in the bag," at him and film his reaction. The same scenario plays out multiple times every week, and Josh's responses to trolling have escalated from annoyed reactions to genuine violence. But this aggressive behavior really solidified during his infamous Japan trip. Josh's time in Japan became one of the most controversial periods in his entire career, and it really showed who he is underneath all the fame and alcohol. The trip started normally enough. Josh seemed genuinely excited to experience a different culture and maybe find some peace away from his usual problems.
I was constipated for a month, and then I made a big shit.
In Japan?
Yeah, and my toilet's still backed up. I didn't bother to call maintenance because my toilet's still backed up, and I have to keep the door to the bathroom closed. My bathroom smells like a sewer.
But within days, Josh was getting recognized constantly throughout Japan, and since he wasn't live streaming most of the trip, the footage we have comes from random people who happened to encounter him. This means there are probably way more incidents that never got recorded. Reportedly, after one particularly bad public freakout where Josh attacked people in the street, a Japanese citizen actually performed a citizen's arrest and dragged Josh to the police. People thought Josh might finally face real consequences for his behavior, but he was released with just another warning.
Josh Block was arrested in Japan. Josh Block is currently in Japan and he's wanting the full experience, including going through their jails. He was picked up by Japanese police after crashing out on people in the middle of the street, because of course they triggered him by saying, "Put the fries in the bag."
What Josh did next was probably even worse than his public meltdowns. According to the news flying, after getting out of a taxi, Josh decided to insult the driver. The nerve of visiting someone else's country and then calling one of their citizens an immigrant shows how twisted Josh's worldview has become. It also reveals that Josh sees immigrant as an insult, which says everything about his character. Around this time, Jason and Josh had signed some kind of deal with a streaming platform that supposedly pays Josh $400,000 per year. How much of this money Josh actually sees is questionable, especially since he's more interested in traveling and drinking than actually streaming consistently. I don't think this arrangement will last long given Josh's lack of commitment to the work. What's most surprising about the Japan footage was seeing how many people knew who Josh was. He was visiting popular tourist spots and getting recognized constantly, which really shows how globally famous World of T-Shirts has become. Josh somehow made it back from Japan without getting arrested or seriously hurt, which honestly was shocking. We really thought that trip would end with him in a Japanese prison, but it turns out his luck was about to run out in a different way. Shortly after returning home, Josh's drinking finally caught up with him during what's now called the mall incident. We don't have footage of what actually happened, but the accepted story is that Josh attacked a police officer and other people while extremely intoxicated. He was so drunk they couldn't even take him to jail. He went straight to the hospital. Josh was supposed to be held for 72 hours, but after threatening to sue and Jason showing up, the hospital released him. The only real consequence was his diagnosis of pancreatitis, inflammation of the pancreas caused by excessive alcohol consumption. This condition can be lifelong and potentially fatal, but even after experiencing the pain and getting the diagnosis, Josh continues drinking. Josh's family has become increasingly worried about his declining health and his relationship with Jason. His grandfather, who raised Josh during his early TikTok days, is especially concerned. In a recorded phone call with someone he thought was Michael Quinn, Josh's grandfather was brutally honest about the situation.
Well, we've been trying to get the police to do something with him. We've been, he's been to hospitals and so forth, and they won't do anything. Nobody can do anything. He has he is disabled, as you probably realize, and we have his caseworker. His caseworker's boss, the regional director. Nothing can do about him unless he committed a crime. So there's nothing I can do.
Grandfather understands the severity of the medical situation, even if Josh doesn't. The contrast between 2020 Josh and current Josh is shocking. He went from being known for singing songs in New York to being known for constant drinking and violent outbursts. His body physically cannot sustain this lifestyle much longer. He'll either have to completely change his habits and commit to being a professional content creator, or let his addictions and behavior destroy him completely. Based on everything we've seen, Josh shows no signs of choosing the healthy path. So this was all about Joshua Block. Please drop in your useful feedback and comments about this video.